So, Red Bull have re-signed Sergio Perez, not just for next year, but for the next 2 years. Reactions to this news have been pretty mixed. One group of people have been extremely happy, mostly very passionate Sergio Perez fans on Instagram. One group of people have been extremely upset, mostly Daniel Ricciardo and Yuki Tsunoda fans. And one group of people don't really know how to feel, mostly your average F1 fan like myself. But today we're going to take an honest look at Sergio Perez and his time at Red Bull to see if he's truly been as bad as some people accuse him of being and determine once and for all if he was the best choice for Red Bull's second seat. Sergio Perez joined Red Bull for the 2021 season, and most fans were cheering on the move when it happened. Sergio was coming off the best year of his career in 2020, finishing fourth in the driver's standings in a Racing Point and claiming the first victory of his Formula One career in Bahrain. The move seemed to be an immediate success, with Sergio claiming a second win that season in Baku and performing better than both Pierre Gasly and Alex Albon had in that seat. He also played the team game to help Max Verstappen win his first championship in Abu Dhabi, which is what Red Bull really wanted out of a second driver. But when you look back on his first year in the team, there were already signs of the inconsistencies and mistakes we would come to know from Sergio during his time at Red Bull. I think of his spin during the Silverstone sprint race, poor recovery during the Italian Grand Prix where Max and Lewis were both out, and his careless safety car infringement in Imola that cost him positions with a penalty. 2022 and 2023 were much of the same. A promising start to the year with moments of brilliance followed by inconsistencies, letdowns, and poor qualifying performances. But if we look at the numbers, what do they actually say about Sergio Perez's career at Red Bull? Here are the stats for Sergio Perez's first 3 seasons at Red Bull, including the 2024 season through round 8 at the Monaco Grand Prix at the time of recording. His average qualifying position has been 6.81. His average race finish position has been 4.69, with 29 podiums, 5 wins, 7 fastest laps, and 3 pole positions. These stats aren't bad at all, but they're also nothing special and nothing really pops out to you. What would happen if we compared Sergio Perez's stats at Red Bull to other drivers during that time period or from similar situations? Let's find out. I'm going to show you Sergio Perez's stats next to the stats of another driver without telling you who that second driver is. See if you can guess who the other driver is and ask yourself how Sergio's stats compare to his and if Sergio really performed better. Here we go. Our first driver had an average qualifying position of 6.5, an average race finish position of 4.96, with 27 podiums, 5 wins, 9 fastest laps, and 1 pole position. You know who it is? It's Daniel Ricciardo's first 4 years with Red Bull. Here's your second driver. He had an average qualifying position of 4.7, an average race finish position of 4.45, with 23 podiums, 4 wins, 5 fastest laps, and 17 pole positions. I think the pole positions might give this one away, but it's Charles Leclerc over that same time period from 2021 to 2024. Here's your next driver. He had an average qualifying position of 6.78, an average race finish position of 6.43, with 16 podiums, 1 win, 4 fastest laps, and 1 pole position. It's the driver who just got his first win this year, Lando Norris, during that same time period. Here's your next driver. He had an average qualifying position of 5.57, an average race finish position of 4.97, with 20 podiums, 3 wins, 2 fastest laps, and 5 pole positions. You know who it is? It's the driver who somehow still doesn't have a drive for next season, Carlos Sainz, over that same time period. Last but not least, this driver had an average qualifying position of 5.10, an average race finish position of 4.30, with 26 podiums, 1 win, 6 fastest laps, and 2 pole positions. I went a little crazy with this one. It's Kimi Räikkönen's last 4 years with Ferrari, who was actually in a very similar position to Sergio Perez, a driver playing second fiddle at a top team. Now, I'm not saying that all of these drivers and their stats can be direct comparisons, as they were driving different machineries, sometimes on different tracks and schedules with different teammates and even different regulations and so on. You could come up with an endless amount of qualifier for these statistics, but I think they simply highlight that Sergio Perez has indeed underperformed during his time at Red Bull. His stats are nearly the exact same to Daniel Ricciardo's time at Red Bull, but Sergio has had a much better car during his stint with the team than Daniel did. His stats are arguably worse than the 2 Ferrari drivers over the same time period, yet Red Bull had the more dominant cars across those seasons, save maybe 8 to 10 races in 2022. And Lando Norris has been driving a McLaren for the past 4 seasons and yet has better qualifying stats and comparable stats everywhere else to Sergio Perez, and that McLaren has been terrible during points of that time period. Whether you like it or not, Red Bull may have made the wrong decision in re-signing Sergio Perez when you look at the stats. Let's face it, with the resurgence of McLaren and Ferrari, we've got a constructors' title battle on our hands. I don't know about you, but personally, I don't trust Sergio Perez to help Red Bull come out on top of that fight in his current form. If Red Bull loses the constructors' title this year, next year, or both, would there be a way for them to replace Sergio Perez before the new regulations in 2026? Personally, I don't think they would have given Sergio that 2-year contract if there wasn't a way for them to replace him after the first year. There have also been rumors floating around that Daniel Ricciardo is likely to stay with VCarb for the 2025 season, meaning that Red Bull still wants to keep him around as a possibility for 2026. This shows me that Yuki Tsunoda really isn't in the running for that second Red Bull seat. If he was, he likely would have gotten it this year with the performances he has been putting in against Daniel Ricciardo. If you ask me, Yuki might not even be returning to VCarb next season, with a possible move to Aston Martin lining up when Honda goes there, and that might be the best move for his career. It's possible that Red Bull simply signed Sergio Perez to keep Max Verstappen happy, with all of the Christian Horner issues, Adrian Newey leaving, and the car slipping back from the front of the field. Perhaps keeping their star driver happy was their main desire. I see no reason why Max Verstappen can't keep winning championships with Sergio Perez as his teammate, but I find it way harder to believe that Red Bull will continue to dominate the constructors' title with their current lineup if Sergio Perez doesn't improve his form. While this may not have been the best move for Red Bull as a team, it certainly is a great move for Formula One fans, as we can look forward to the Red Bull dominance coming to an end over the next few seasons. However you look at it, this move will certainly keep us entertained over the next few years, on and off the track. Well, there you have it. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing. It really helps the channel grow. My name is Justin, this is the Podium Pushers YouTube channel, and we will see you in the next one.